Hi friends, it's Yana here today. Welcome to my channel. Let's do some sewing. Today I'm going to be working on a swimsuit. I know that sometimes we can be a little bit scared to sew swim because swim fabric can be a little tricky, but we're going to tackle it together. I love one-piece swimsuits because I just love the smoothness of it. And because I love wearing them with like pants as like almost bodysuits when I'm going to the beach or when I'm going somewhere else. And I've got the perfect fabric to make some bottoms to go along with this for next time, so make sure you stick around. Or come back when that other video releases. Today I'm going to be making the Amelia SwimSuit by Copper Creek Patterns. This is a one-piece swimsuit. I'm going to be using this beautiful fabric from Boho Fabrics. I hope I have enough. You know, that's always my issue. I never know if I order enough. And one of the things I want to do is show you how I cut my fabric, because I love one-piece swimsuits, but I have a really hard time because of the fact that my measurements are not all level. First of all, my top is a smaller size than my bottom, and second of all, my torso is very long. So my torso is about 1.5 inches longer than most swimsuit patterns are made for. So I struggle with trying to get the right trunk length. So I kind of wanted to show you how I cut my pattern, so that way if you have these issues, you can also modify your pattern. Let's get started. Alright, so I'll be using a projector file, and I hope you can see the lines on here, but I'm just going to explain to you what this is. In this projector file, I actually have both sizes projected on my fabric. I've got the two sizes that I fit into. So I fit into a smaller size at the bottom, at the top, and then I gradually get wider here at the waist and hip, and then I also get longer. Now I'm not going to add the length here because of the fact that I have to add the length at the waist. That's where I am the longest. So there's a couple of ways you can do this. If you're using a projector file, you could trace out your pattern piece first. And sometimes when you are going to modify a pattern, that might be your easiest option. There's another option, which I'm going to try today. I'm going to work on today. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to mark where my waist is here on my bodice on my pattern piece. Now, because this is the back, well, we got to do this for the back and the front, so we're going to have to start there. So we're going to start at the front. This is the back. I'm going to do the high back, so I'm going to cut in the smaller line. Because it's here at the waist where I need to start getting bigger, I'm going to come from where I'm going to add the length right above it. I'm going to cut from the biggest size and go to the smaller size. So I'm literally, let me put up, here's a clear piece of paper so you can see it better. So this purple line is the bigger size, and this red dotted line is the smaller size. So what I'm doing is right above that waistline here. This is my waistline here. I'm starting from that waistline and I'm going from the bigger size down to the smaller size. So when I'm cutting, I'm kind of coming in very, very, very slowly. So I'm just kind of merging over like so. And now I am at the smaller size here. And as I'm cutting here, this is the smallest size, and then merge over to the bigger size here. So the rest from here on down, I'm going to cut on the larger size, but from here on up, I'm going to cut on the smaller size. This is how you grade from different sizes, as if your top of the bodice is smaller, or vice versa. If you were going the other way, you would start at the smallest and slowly grade out to the biggest size. That makes sense. This is the smaller size, this is the bigger size. Okay? So that's what I'm doing on that part, because this is the bigger side. So I'm going to cut the top. Alright, so now that that's cut, we're going to move on to the second part of the whole situation, which is adding length. Okay? So I've got my bodice here. This is my waist, and this is where I want to add 1 inch. So what I'm going to do is I have here my pin where my bodice is here across, right? So I want to go an inch. So I'm going to mark an inch on my mat. Again, this is probably easier if you just draw it out, because if you draw it out, you can cut your pattern piece, split it up in an inch, but this is just an easy way to do it. So I'm going to actually do 1.5 inches. 1.5 inches. So 1.5 inches will be on this line here, right? So I'm just marking 1.5 inches on my ruler. I'm going to move my whole pattern up to that 1.5 inches. So now my pattern piece is moved up 1.5 inches. You see it doesn't match here anymore. There should be 1.5 inches here at the top. You see that? There's 1.5 inches here at the top that's extra, and I'm adding it right here at the waist is what I'm going to add it. So now that I moved my whole piece 1.5 inches up, now I can go ahead and cut the rest of it just like I would have cut it anyway. I did not move my reflection of my pattern because I want it to be longer, but I'm going to show you in a minute. I'm cutting on the bigger size to my spot. Okay, so I cut my back already, and I'm going to show you. Hold on one second. Let me get this cut. If I am to place it over the line again, put it back where it belongs, you see that I have extra fabric here, 1 inch. It's because 1.5 inches was added down the middle. I hope that makes sense. I'm going to do the same exact thing for the front bodice. Alright, so that's how I add length to my bodice using the projector. Now, if you didn't feel confident enough to do it that way and you wanted to, you could always trace out the pattern into a piece of paper and cut down at the waistline and add 1.5 inches, however you need to add, however much you need to add, or subtract. If you needed to subtract, instead of pulling it up to add length, you would pull it down to shorten the length. If you needed to subtract because your trunk was smaller, or if you are doing paper pattern, then you would, obviously cut it with the paper pattern. But I just feel like with the projector is so easy, and then being able to just go ahead and cut it like that, I don't have to copy papers, I don't have to trace, I don't have to do all that. So it just makes it super, super easy and convenient. So I'm going to finish cutting all the other pieces. I'm going to cut my front bodice just the same way by adding the 1.5 inches, and then we're going to get sewing. Alright friends, let's get started now that we've got all the pieces cut out. One thing that I like to do is when I cut out my elastics, I pin them together. So this is my arm side elastics, and how I know that they're my arm elastics is because I clip them with a purple clip, and then I clip the arm area with a purple clip, so that way I keep them separate. And then the leg elastic I clipped with green, and then I put a green clip on my leg area, so that way I know, because they're very similar in length, so that way I don't have to check every time. And then obviously my neckline is a little longer, and then my underbust elastic if you're planning on doing that. Now if you're planning on doing underbust elastic, the first thing we're going to do is we're going to grab our lining and we're going to place it over our body. And obviously it's better if you do it with your, not wearing a huge, not huge, but if you're not wearing a sweater and everything like that, and you want to make sure that you place it correctly on like the shoulder seam area here and here, and you're going to measure, and you want to kind of match where your underbust is, about 1/4 inch from your underbust here. And so you're going to kind of mark that. I'm just going to do a pin right there. So that's where I want to attach my underbust elastic. And then we're going to grab the wrong side, and we're going to place that elastic right there, and we're going to stretch it. So kind of mark that half. You can mark the half of your bodice and pin it there, and then pin it on each side. It's going to kind of stretch a little bit because it's going to bring that in a little bit here. And then what you're going to do is you're going to go to your sewing machine, and with a zigzag stitch, you're going to stretch and sew on the top all the way across, and then stretch and sew on the bottom all the way across. And then also, if you're doing cups, you want to go ahead and grab your cups, and you're going to place them on here. Now, this elastic is going to go against your bathing suit. So this is the part up here that's going to be on your skin. So it's basically going to get attached to your bathing suit this way, so that the elastic's not touching you. So then, we'll have our bathing suit outer is going to be on top like this, right? So you want the cups to be facing this way. So you want them to be facing in. So when you're attaching them, this is important because you don't want your cups to be wrong side up. If you're using cups that matter, if the right side or wrong side matters, you want them to be face up like this. So touching the wrong side. So how they're going to be worn on the body. I hope that makes sense. And you can go ahead and attach those. I have had a hard time finding swim cups, and so I bought these from Amazon, but they're like really stiff, which I don't love, but it's okay. So we're just gonna kind of divide it here in the middle so that they're like front and center, and we're going to kind of smash it down a little bit and pin, and we're gonna sew them on by using a zigzag stitch here on your lining all the way around. And you want to make sure, if you want to kind of place this over your body first before you sew it all on, and make sure that it all is evenly pieced together and that it fits nicely, you probably want to do that just to make sure before you do all the work of sewing this on and then realize that, you know, it's not right in the center or it's not right where you want it. So it's best if you pin it all or just even baste it all. Baste this on. You can even grab your lining front and back and baste at the sides, baste the shoulders, baste the bottom, like with a long straight stitch, and try it on and make sure that it all fits correctly. With swimsuits, you want to make sure that they fit correctly before you attach the elastic, because really attaching the elastic is kind of the hardest step. It's not hard, but it's the more intense step. So you want to make sure that it's going to fit before you even get to that step. It's going to be a little wonky here and here, obviously, because the elastic will bring it in, but you can still get a feel for, is it long enough? Is it tight enough? Is it, you know, is it wide enough? Is it going to fit? Is it too tight? So I always grab my lining and my outer and I baste like liner and outer to each other. Liner and outer to itself, and try it on and make sure that it all is gonna fit before I move on to sewing. So as I say that, I'm not doing that for this one because I think it's gonna be fine, but I'm gonna go zigzag stitch here at the top and bottom of the under bust elastic, and I'm going to zigzag stitch all the way around the swim cups to attach them onto my bodice. Another thing you can do is make sure you measure on each side that you have the same amount of room on each side so that they're even in the center. So let me go start sewing that up. All right, so we're doing a zigzag stitch, and I'm gonna start here at the top. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to the center bottom and just pull it tight and make sure it's straight. When we get to that center, then I pull the other side tight and make sure it's straight. Turn and do the same for the bottom of the elastic. All right, so as you can see, that's been attached. You can see the zigzag stitch on this side. And if you may want to do it with a color that you won't be able to see, I just wanted you to be able to see it. So, well, and also I didn't want to change my bobbin thread. That was already on there, so I didn't care. But anywho, that's just me. Now with the cups, you're just gonna go along the edge all the way around. You gotta make sure that there's no wrinkles, so you're kind of holding it. Again, I wanted you to be able to see that. So that's what that is like on this side. Oops. And on the other side, it looks like this. And we're gonna do the other one. Oh, I just realized I forgot to do something. And well, I don't know if I can do it with like the cups already on here. I might have to remove the cups and then, you know, because yeah, I'll have to remove the cups because I forgot to do the dart. So see, I marked my bodice
outer, but I forgot to mark my liner. So here's my bodice is marked for that. It would be over where the cup is for my, so let me go ahead and take them off, and then we'll add the darts, and then we'll move on. But I'm going to show you, I'll add the darts after. I'm going to show you how to add the darts on here. So that way, now I showed you how to do the cups. I'm going to show you how to do the darts. I'm going to go back and do my own darts, and then you can do yours. So to the wrong side of the fabric, we're going to fold it. So I've already marked my darts here with my pins because it's kind of hard to see with my fabric. I don't have a good water soluble marker right now. So I'm just kind of marking it. I just marked it. This is the point of my dart. And what I like to do is I like to go from one side to the other with my pins. And I know exactly where my end is here. So then I'm going to start at the end, and so straight stitch down and then come out here at the point where it's supposed to end. I'm going to do that same for the other side. So I've got my pins on this one. I put my pins on the other side because it was a reflection of my what do you call it, projector, so I couldn't really see it very well. So I just put the pins on the other side, but it's okay because I can feel them right here. Just pin them there, and I'll get rid of the ones on the other side. So we're gonna go ahead and go sew these darts down. After I sew these darts, I'm gonna do the same for the lining, and do the darts of the lining, and then reattach the cups, and then have these darts here, and then we're gonna go ahead and move on to the next step.
All right, so to do the darts, we're gonna start at the end, and we're gonna follow our line, our dart line. I made my dart line of pins because that's just what I like to do, especially with this fabric since I can't really see the line. But if you have a water soluble marker or even just a washable marker, would work just fine. So we're going along that line until the point where we're gonna come out here. And when I get close to that point, I'm gonna reduce my stitch length a little bit and go right out that point. And we're gonna do that for our outers, for both of our outers and for our liner. No, I'm sorry, for our outer front liner. My goodness, for our front outer and our front liner. That's what I meant to say. All right, so right now that the darts have been sewn, we're gonna go here at the front, and I did not leave that long of a tail here. You wanna leave a long enough tail that you can tie it off, and I don't know why, usually I'm really good at leaving a long tail, and this time I was sidetracked and didn't, but I can still tie it off. You wanna tie it off here so it's not gonna come apart, but you don't wanna backstitch because then it'll give you like a little pucker, and you don't want that. So you just want it long enough that you can tie it off here, but not super tight. So you don't want to like pull it super tight that it's going to give you like a little bubble there. You just want it, you know, tight enough that it's not going to come apart. And then once you have that, then you can trim above that knot. I'm going to do that on all the sides. All right, so once we have that, we're going to do the same to the liner and the outer. We're going to grab our bodice front and back, and we're going to match up the shoulder seams and sew them up right sides together so the right side of the fabric is touching. I want to make sure that I am doing the right side of the fabric. I was right. Okay, the right side of the fabrics are touching. It's hard sometimes with swim fabric, especially solids, if they look the exact same on the wrong and right side. I like to stretch them. So I look at the fabric and I stretch it. You can see the fibers when it's the wrong side. You can see the wrong side fibers, and then this way you can see more of the lines, like the straight lines of the right side. Also, usually, and I don't think you'll be able to see a comparison, the wrong side sees duller, is not as bright as the right side. The right side it's brighter. You can see it if I'm close up. I don't know if you can see it. Like, let me put it close up right here. You can kind of see it here. The right side is shinier and this side is dull.
I can see it really well, but I don't know if you can. But anyway, you can kind of see it by that as well. And then right here down at the crotch area, we're gonna match those up, right sides together as well. So you can start at one end, and it's got a little curve, so you're just gonna curve up as you sew like that. And we're gonna sew them up with a stretch stitch. And I'm gonna do the same with the liner. The liner right sides together for the bodice front and back liner as well. And I'm gonna sew, did I say this already? With a stretch stitch on your sewing machine. Oh, I was gonna mention, I love that we do darts on this pattern. Not all patterns come with darts for bathing suits patterns, but I love that because the darts give you such great definition here at the bust, and you don't have any extra fabric gapping here at like the armpit area. So it kind of cups it up so it looks much better once it's on. And then another thing I said, once you sew those up, you can go try this bathing suit on and make sure that the length is right, make sure everything looks good before you continue to do the elastic. Again, these are right sides together. So the right side of the fabric is touching the right side of each other. And with lining fabric is the same exact way than with the swim fabric. If you look here, you can see the lines. I don't know if you can see them. I really hope you can, or I'm showing you for nothing. You can see when you stretch it out, you can see the lines of the fabric. On the wrong side, when you stretch it out, it looks more fuzzy, more woven than just the lines. And if you look at side by side, you can see that the main side is shinier and the wrong side is more dull. Let me know in the comments below if it does make sense to you, what I'm saying about the light and dull. And yeah. Oh, duh. I also forgot to say we're also sewing the sides. So we're sewing top, shoulders, and we're sewing crotch area, and we're sewing the sides. And also comment below, where do you get your swim cups at? Because I have not found a place, and obviously these were not the right cups I got from Amazon. So I need to find a good place to get some swim cups as I'm sewing, you know, as I sew more swim, because I do like sewing my own swim. And also comment below and tell me what season you're in. I know that some of you that watch me from other countries are just going into summer season because we're on different times and different seasons and everything. So comment below and let me know. Are you going into fall? Are you going into summer? What season are you on? You're just on rainy season. I know some places don't get all the seasons. So I'm curious to know, and let me know where you're from, where you're watching from. All right, let's go sew that up. All right, next we're really gonna see how easy it is to put a bathing suit together, and you're gonna be like, what? All right, so we're gonna grab our outer, and we're gonna grab our liner, and our liner is gonna fit right into that suit. Now, as you can see, where the cups are elastic and where the seams are going to touch the bathing suit. Sorry, let's turn the bathing suit right side out. So the bathing suit's right side out. So this will go in, and the wrong side, so the wrong side where the cups are, where the seam is, all that stuff is gonna touch the wrong side of the bathing suit, so of the outer. So you want the wrong sides to be touching. You do not want those, you want the inside to be flush, so you don't want those cups to be on the inside where they're going to touch you. You want it to be touching the bathing suit. So they're gonna be trapped inside. I'm gonna show you in a minute once I clip this all up. So I'm clipping the seams, the armpit, the shoulders, all that. And then down here at the legs, make sure it's not twisted or turned. Now what I like to do, I don't think it says so on the pattern, but I like to go ahead and baste these two together so that they are not going to move on you when you attach the elastic, because attaching the elastic is really one of the things that people are most fearful of when it comes to making a bathing suit. So you want to make that as easy as possible. And one way to make it super easy is to make sure that since you're going to be working with these fabrics, outer and liner, they're going to become like one fabric. You want to make sure that they are together. So now, because I'm going to be clipping everything, my green clip is going to, I'm actually going to put it like right here. So that way I don't mistake it for just a regular clip. And this is my green clip that's telling me that these green ones are my leg elastic. So you're matching up the liner and outer, and I'm going to go to my sewing machine and just put a long straight basting stitch to keep them together. So when I go to sew my elastic on, the fabric won't slide on me, because you don't want this liner to slide down and then we don't catch it when we're sewing it, or the outer to slide down, and that just makes it a pain in the neck. So the best way to avoid that is to just go ahead and before you even sew the elastic, I'm going to baste them together so they're stuck together so they can't move on me when I'm sewing them. I didn't move the purple clip, and the reason why is because if I know that the green is the leg elastic, I'll know that the purple is the arm elastic. By process of elimination. All right, so now that it's all clipped together, I'm gonna go baste them, like I said, with a long straight stitch. And while I'm over there doing that, I'm also going to grab my elastics and I'm gonna fold them together and sew them together to create a long, a hoop. Notice I'm using the same color clips, so that way I can keep them separate. And then once you sew them together, make sure you put the clips back on, because I've done that before, where I went ahead and sewed them together and forgot to put the clip back on. And then I'm like, no, because then it does nothing, because I took it off at the end and I was like, I don't know which one's which. Oh, the neck one too. All right, so I'm turning my stitch. It's a long straight stitch and I have it on the longest length available on my machine. And what I want to make sure is that both my liner and outer are together and they're not like moving out of the way. So that's why I'm stay stitching. So you can baste about a 1/4 inch away from the edge or so. It's up to you. All right, for my elastic, what I like to do is I like to place it going like this instead of sideways, and then push my foot down, put my stitch down. I'm gonna do a zigzag stitch. We're gonna go forward with a zigzag, and then we're gonna go backwards. And then again, forward, and then backwards. Show you, it will look just like that. So it's overlapped and zigzag stitched on. And clip them back together with your original clip so you know which one's which. So go ahead and finish that for everyone, and then we're gonna put them together. All right, now the fun part, adding the elastic. Oh, let me show you on the inside, see how it's this part, not the elastic is not gonna touch your skin or anything like that. Okay, for the elastic, so what I like to do first is quarter everything. So not everything, but everything's gonna get quartered. By that I mean you're gonna grab your shoulders and match them together and go to the front, find you tippy front. And I like to mark it with a little snip, small enough that it will get eaten by my seam allowance and you'll be fine. So match it again and go to the back and snip that to mark. If you don't want to snip, you don't have to. You can just go ahead and use your clips or pins. I'm going to trim some of this serger tails. They don't need to be there. All right, so once you've done your front and back, you're going to match those up and go to the side and mark your quarters. Okay, so then you're gonna grab your elastic, and you're gonna do this with all of them. You're gonna grab your elastic, and we're gonna start on the back. And I'm gonna show you for what I do for my leg elastic and my elastic. I just mark the halves and match it up here. Here's the front. And then for the front, we just go straight. I don't pull on the elastic. I'm just evening it out, like just 1-to-1 ratio on the elastic in the front, like so. And then when I get to my quarter here, I stretch it if I need to. Now, you may not have to stretch it. It looks like it's pretty even. Oh no, this slipped. This is my center here. I don't know what happened. So you will have to stretch. I was gonna say, I'm like, usually there's a little bit of stretch. You'll have to stretch it to fit. So usually, a lot of times I don't even clip them all up. I just go to my sewing machine and stretch as I sew. Because on the front, we're doing a 1-to-1 ratio, so not stretching. Sometimes I stretch lightly, very, very lightly, the elastic, barely. Then when I get here to my quarter, I start my stretching. So kind of stretch it all together and then, okay. Now for my arms and my legs, what I do is the same thing. Show you. Okay. I don't even quarter those. I said legs were green, right? Yeah. I start here at the bottom, but match up my seam here. Hold on, let me get rid of these serger tails. Okay, so I start here at the bottom. On the front of the leg, I don't stretch. I just attach. Okay, and how I'm gonna attach is I'm gonna attach it with a zigzag stitch on my sewing machine first. Then I fold over and top stitch. So all the way around like this. And then when I get to my bum, hold on. When I get to the bum area, I stretch to fit. Oop. And I like to do that because then the elastic will cup kind of around my bum, which is kind of what you want the suit to do. So I'm going to show you how I do it without actually pinning it, because that's what I like to do. And I just do a zigzag stitch and attach it on. And then I'll show you how to do that. And then what we do is after we attach it on, we fold it over and we top stitch it. So let me show you here on the front. This is my front bodice. So here, starting here at this quarter. And since I'm not stretching, I'm just sewing it on. And it's a long zigzag stitch on my sewing machine is what I like to do. I'm not stretching the elastic. I'm just making sure that it's over both lining and outer, right along that edge. And then I start for the back, I start stretching here. So I stretch my elastic to fit and I stitch it. So now my elastic is attached, and then I'm going to show you how I'm going to turn it over. See right here, I went aside to the elastic, so I'm just going to go over it again just to make sure that I catch it well. There we go. Now my elastic is tacked down. I'm going to do that for all of them. Okay, let me show you the leg elastic. Okay, so we're gonna start at the front. I like to do the front area first because again, the back, I'm stretching the back. Obviously, if you use colors that match your fabric, you won't be able to see them when you're done, and I'll show you what the last step is. But I'm just using black right now. All right, so once we get down here, we're gonna stretch. All right, so you can see the bum area, it's a little stretched, and then the front is straight. But I'm gonna show you how when you, I probably won't show you because I don't like to be on camera with my bathing suit, but I will tell you that it does cup a little bit on the butt, but it gives it, it just fits better than the front, than stretching it out all the way around. So I'm gonna continue to do the other leg and the arms, and then we'll be going to the next step, which will be turning it down and top stitching it. All right, I'm gonna show you how I do it without using the clips. I'm gonna start at the top of the shoulder on my shirt, my arm side, and gonna go around the whole front of the bodice, the front of the sleeve, just stitching it on without stretching. If I would take my time, then I wouldn't miss so much of the elastic. Okay, then when I get here, it's when I start stretching my elastic to the back. And it is pretty easy. Doing a bigger zigzag stitch, if you can see, it's kind of bigger zigzag because you're just attaching it to the bodice. So I'll do a smaller zigzag when I top stitch it on, but since I'm just attaching it, like basting it on, it's basically just getting basted on together, and then you're going to sew it by top stitching, and I'm going to show you that in a minute. All right, so if you've gotten through that part, that was probably one of the hardest parts, and it really isn't that hard if you just let the machine do the job for you, and if you go with a longer stretch stitch. Now, right now at this part, you can go ahead and remove that basting stitch, that first basting stitch, so it's not in your way later, and so it's easier to remove. It's easier to remove now than it will be when you sew it together, and then you won't have like a double stitch line coming through when you sew it up. I'm lazy sometimes and I forget to remove it, and then I end up kicking myself afterwards because then it's harder to remove afterwards. So right now would be a good time to remove that first basting stitch. And the good thing is if you made a long straight stitch on your sewing machine, it really is that easy to pull out. Like that just came out, and then take that strip out right there. I guess this was the other side. Didn't want to come out as easily as that first side. Anyway, so now once that's done, you only have your zigzag stitch. Oh, there's another piece right here that did not want to come out. Keep in mind that I am using, I use this black thread and, black serger thread, and so you can really see it. But the next step, and you want to probably trim all these exits now of this serged edges because you want to take them out of the way. I'm going to show you here. The next step is to grab your fabric. Another thing you can do here is make sure, if you want to give it like a really nice even look, you can trim your fabric down to the elastic. So it's even with the elastic. If you want to do that, take the time and do that. Some people are really good at taking their time and making their garment look so good. I am just lazy and I just go for it, and I think it still looks good. But what I'm going to do now is I'm going to fold this over like so, and we're going to top stitch it down. So see how now what you'll see, and you can do that basting stitch instead of using a straight zigzag stitch, you could just use a straight stitch, but a lot of times I just like to use a zigzag stitch because a lot of times, and I'm not going to do it this time because of the fact that I'm using this color and I don't think I have any thread that matches it. I use my cover stitch for the next step, and the cover stitch, the inside of the cover stitch, the wrong side, is like thick, so it covers up all that zigzag stitch. But if you do a long straight stitch to baste them together, you're gonna cover that up anyway when you do the zigzag stitch, and you can pull that straight stitch out afterwards. You can pull this zigzag stitch out afterwards if you wanted to. So you're just folding this over and you're gonna top stitch. Here at the bum where your stretchy parts are, you're gonna stretch it as you sew it. So you're gonna stretch it and clip it. And yes, you can go ahead and top stitch without pinning or clipping, and that will be just fine. But I think it's harder when you do that. It's easier if you just go ahead and clip it or pin it first and then go top stitch it. And see here, I have a little bit of extra fabric allowance here, seam allowance, so I can trim that and it'll give me a better look. I don't always do it and it's fine. It still will look fine, but see how this looks much better because it's neater, and this right here has all this extra fabric here because I didn't clip it. That's the difference between clipping and not clipping. So we're gonna go ahead and turn, I can remove that clip now and turn all of it around. Then we're gonna go top stitch it, and that will be it. We will be done. All right, I think I lied. I think I am gonna use my cover stitch because as I was sitting here folding this over, I realized I don't have any other color thread that matches it closely. So I am gonna have to use the black thread that I've been using. So I rather see the straight stitch of my cover stitch than the zigzag stitch on the other side. So it will look like a zigzag stitch on the other side when you top stitch, which is fine. A lot of swimsuits, if you look at them, have that look. But I like the straight stitch, so I'm going to use my cover stitch. You can use a double needle if you wanted to do that kind of look on it as well, and you didn't have a cover stitch. But I just like the way that the cover stitch looks a little bit more clean. I say that as there's a mess on my table of thread everywhere. But really, the best way for it to look seamless is to use thread that matches your fabric perfectly. And I, should have gone to the store and bought some, but I didn't because there was a motive. I wanted you to be able to see what I was doing, but also I was lazy. So I kind of told myself that was the reason why, because I wanted you all to see it. So we're just going to say that that's the reason why and not the fact that I was just being lazy in going to go get some more thread. All right, so let's go top stitch all that around, and then we'll be done with our bathing suit. It's looking so good. All right, so I found some sort of colors that would kind of match. We'll see how it turns out. So I am going from the top because I'm top stitching, making sure that the elastic is like flush with my fabric, and then we're gonna stretch as we sew, especially on those back ones. We're just kind of going slowly, taking our time on this, even though I don't usually take my time, but we should. All right, so let me show you what that looks like on the bodice. See, this is the inside. You see what I mean by my cover stitch covers that up with the stitch there, and then on the front it just got a double stitching there. Hope you can see that. It's kind of hard to see because the thread actually does kind of match pretty well. So you see how it did look a little messy on the inside, but once we sew it together, it takes away from that messiness. This is actually that straight basting stitch here that I didn't remove. I'm gonna kick myself for it again because I gotta remove it later. So I'll be coming in, picking it with a thing, but see how smooth that looks now instead of all that. If you're doing it on your sewing machine, it'll be fine because the zigzag stitch will be on top of this zigzag stitch, and that will also look smooth and nice. So I'm gonna go ahead and finish it up and then show you what it looks like. It's looking so good so far. All right, y'all, I gotta go try it on, but I wanted to show you how good it looks. It is all top stitched. Now, let me see. In some areas, okay, here. See how I have a little bit of excess here that I didn't trim earlier? Now would be a fine time to go ahead and trim that, just carefully trim it out of the way. And that gives you a smoother look. I also wanted to show you, I found this funny. As I was recording myself top stitching, so look at how good that looks on this side. And then on this side, it's got the stretchy bum. So I'm gonna show you that in a minute. It looks really good. Okay, hold on. As I was sewing, I realized that my camera like ran out of memory. And I didn't realize, I'm like, how much memory did it run out of? How much did I record and you were not able to see? And I was kind of upset because I'm like, did I record all that? And now I'm gonna have to tear it all up and show you again how to do it. And I was so upset. And I thought this was great. When I looked at it, it literally, oh, hold on. You didn't hear me say it. So we're gonna go ahead and finish it up and then show you what it looks like. It's looking so good so far. So the part where it cuts off, that me showed you what I did, and I said it's looking so good. Only like 3 seconds after that was when it shut off and it stopped recording. So I was actually able to keep that footage and show you what I showed you. Just 10 seconds later, 5 seconds later, and I would not have been able to show you. So I just wanted to share that with you because I thought that was awesome. Anyway, all right, let me go try this on, and I'm super excited about it.
All right, friends, we are done with this make. I think it turned out fabulous. The length that I added was just right. It fits so good. No wedgie going on. Just dropped something. Oh, take that back up. Bo wants to say hello. Come on. Come on. He's so lazy. He was laying down the whole time while I was working away. And now he's coming over here to take credit for all the work. Just wanted to say hello. Anyway, like I mentioned earlier, I don't really like to wear bathing suits in front of the camera, so I'm showing you as a bodysuit. It looks so good. I love it. I love the finishing touches. I love that there's so many options on this bathing suit too, though. Like the scoop neck, this was the lowest scoop with the highest back, but you could also do a higher neckline in the front, a low, really low scoop in the back. You could also add a little peplum to this if you wanted to. You have two pieces and then you would just sandwich the peplum in between and sew it together. Super easy. So if you wanted to style it as a bodysuit, I think it would be so cute with a jacket. That would be adorable. See, I love this as like an under top that you can just wear. And I know what you're gonna say. Well, it's really hard to use the restroom when you're wearing a swimsuit. I understand that. And it's not for everyone, but I think it would be super cute. You know, you wear a jumper, you have to take it off to use the restroom. You could do the same with the top if you would like to. But anyway, I think it is adorable. I love it, and I'm gonna make a few more. Also, stick around for the other tutorial that I'm going to be doing coming up with that beautiful fabric that's actually hanging on the line right now drying, because I dry my clothes out on the line. It's hanging on the line drying, and we're going to make some bottoms to go along with this bodysuit / bathing suit. So I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. Please comment, like, share, subscribe if you haven't. Come find me over on Instagram at eloise.ezra, where I do a lot more behind the scenes. All the information on this pattern and all that stuff is under in the comment box, the information box below. So if you want to grab it, let me know below if you think sewing in a swimsuit was easier than you thought. I hope I made it easy for you. Sometimes doing the hard thing, doing something that's new or different can seem so daunting and so hard, but then when you actually get to it and you actually do it, you're like, wow, I did that. And it's the most rewarding feeling. So I hope that you get the courage to do it, try it, sew up your own swimsuit, and just be so proud of yourself that you did it. I hope you have a great rest of your day, and I'll see you all next time. Bye.